Welcome to Soltron. This is a video review for my custom microwave, who's made from the little mini robots that come out of the Titan Tidal wave. So you can see here's a 360 look at him. I think he comes off looking like a little tidal wave, which is pretty cool. And then if we get a size comparison, you can see that he's definitely like a good leader size class. He comes up to the knee on tidal wave. You can see he's a pretty tiny little tidal wave. And you can see there's his dad. But yeah, he's looking pretty cool, and I think he scales really well with Megatron. And if we get a good look at his head, I think this is a pretty good match. It definitely doesn't look like Tidal Wave, but he's got some similar aesthetic. This is the War for Cybertron combiner. I think it's Zaron, I want to say. I don't know that character, but I think he's from the comics. But yeah, his proportions turned out pretty good. And you can see there's definitely a little bit of cheating here and there, but he does have like these pivoting joints in the arms, so he can just Frankenstein. Of course, he has no elbows. That'd be very difficult. And just because this is kind of a gimmick figure, there's like no reason for me to go through the effort. He does have a ball joint neck as usual. I always do that. And then he does have hip rotation. That's for his transformation. He does have his waist here is not all glued together. I haven't decided if this is how I want him to be forever, but he does have like a forward kick, backwards kick, and he does have a knee bend, unlike my custom tidal wave right now. So he can have some decent looking posing, and he does have waist joint. So you can get some interesting looking poses out of him, but he is tall and gangly, which I think fits the character very well. And he doesn't have ankle tilt, so his legs, his feet are always going to be askew, and that's okay because this guy's like got limited articulation. But another cool thing about this figure is he can transform, but it does require taking his head off. I haven't really worked this out. I probably could get his head in this empty space. It's pretty limited. It'd be very difficult. I'd have to probably just put this thing on a double joint so it can rotate in a certain way. But it's possible to get his head to like rotate into his chest section and then just have this rotate like the custom tidal wave I did. But yeah, maybe I'll visit that some other time. I don't really care that much. But yeah, so to transform him, you're just going to straighten out the arms and then rotate it so the tapered part faces the front. And then you're going to just spread out these shoulders as much as possible, which will give the chest clearance so the chest can rotate around, just like the original figure. And then his waist is going to rotate. And then you can see I cut out some plastic from these joints, so these can now sit flush like this. And then basically this is going to become the front aircraft carrier section. It doesn't look like an aircraft carrier. I don't care that much. And then the legs, you're going to get these wing sections spread out. And then much like the original tidal wave, he does... Actually, his leg is going to rotate around, and then you're going to use this joint and then point his toes. And then you just do the same to the other side. And there you have his combined vehicle mode. He's on a bunch of ball joints, of course, so he's a little bit floppy here and there, but I think we all got to admit that's a pretty good combined mode for like a mini tidal wave. I guess you could. I kind of like to have his toes be flat just to give him more deck space. Not that he's really going to use it, but yeah, I think that looks pretty good, right? Okay, and here's how he scales with Tidal Wave, whose legs are not really attached right now. And I have been playing with this guy. I think there definitely is a way to make it so that his legs can stay attached for this transformation, but it would require customizing. But yeah, so you can see like his microwave can just like rest on this front deck. It's pretty much a perfect size for it. Um, it does leave this part pretty gappy and these parts here, of course, but it's cool that like this mini version of himself can deploy and transform. So I think that's pretty great. And then just so you can see how all his little bits work together. So he does have a couple problems. Let's see. So he does do this thing where his waist can come off. And I haven't worked it out yet where his whole waist joint can just stay in here. And I do want to get that worked out because if I can figure that out, that means Megatron can still wear this as a backpack because it would still have this post. It's not really a priority for me because I think Megatron looks stupid with all these things attached to him. But you can see his hovercraft is still good, can obviously be put back in the hovercraft's bay with no problem. It fits exactly the same. That's the wrong one. Fits exactly the same, which is to say badly because these are very loose, but that fits just fine. And then his aircraft carrier mode is just pegged on right here. These black bits are actually supposed to stay, these adapters are actually supposed to stay inside here. But I tightened up the joints so these black bits are coming out. And then these, of course, are going to peg together. And you can see he's missing a big chunk of his aircraft carrier mode. That's because they're still inside of here. And, well, they're going to be in there forever. And that's all I did was I just popped them off the mushroom peg here. So you can just rotate these back down. And then that will shove right back into his original mushroom pegs. And there we go. And then there's those pieces back out. And now we have the rest of his aircraft carrier mode. So yeah, his aircraft carrier, I did cheat, but that's because this aircraft carrier is just gigantic compared to the other components. So yeah, obviously that's going to peg back onto Megatron the same way. I didn't change anything about that. All I did was add these little ports. So aircraft carrier mode's the same. And then this guy has the most damage because he has these giant posts. And now these posts are blocking each other. So now he can't really point these forward, which is kind of annoying. But a kind of nice thing is that you can actually reattach his head here. And he can technically have his head for this vehicle mode. But yeah, to get him back into Tidal Wave's body, I'm going to have to shave these little bits back here just so it'll port back in here correctly. So I'm going to have to either find another way to do these posts, which is what I'm leaning towards because they kind of damage the little alt mode for this guy, or I'm going to have to shave out this plastic so that this guy can rest in here. I'm probably just going to make some adapters and then have those adapters just stick out here and just have them be able to be pulled off and on, which is not great, but it's better than having to compromise the transformation. And then as far as this adapter here is gone, so Megatron can't port this onto his shoulder anymore because I needed that space for his waist joint. So this is technically not going to be Megatron compatible, but again, I don't care. I think it's pretty cool how this guy works out. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.